The first snowstorm of the year was supposed to feel like my quiet little win. Hot coffee steaming on the counter, warm lights glowing inside, and my backup generator humming softly in the garage like a promise I'd kept to myself. Then my doorbell camera picked her up, HOA Karen, wrapped in a spotless white parka, standing at the edge of my driveway like she'd just uncovered a crime scene. 10 minutes later, red and blue lights splashed across my snowbanks, and that's when it hit me. She hadn't come over to complain. She called the cops on my blizzard-ready generator, and what happened next made my stomach drop. That whole week, weather alerts had been screaming about historic snowfall, like it was a trailer for a disaster movie. Everyone in the neighborhood was panic buying bread, batteries, and bottled water. I did what I always do when things get dramatic. I prepared quietly. I'm not a bunker building prepper. I'm just someone who grew up watching winter storms knock the power out for days. After one brutal winter where my pipes nearly burst and my elderly neighbor had to sit in her car just to stay warm, I promised myself I'd never be helpless again. So I bought a portable generator. Nothing massive, just enough to keep the furnace fan running, the fridge cold, and a few lights on. And yeah, I joke with my friends and called it my blizzard party generator, because that's exactly how it felt when the first snowflake finally fell. I had the driveway cleared, extension cords neatly laid out, safety shutoffs double-checked, and a small folding table set up in the garage with coffee, paper cups, and a stack of hand warmers. I even taped a note to my front door. If you're cold or need to charge your phone, knock. I wasn't planning a party. I was just trying to be ready, just in case. Then Karen stepped into the story like a villain who smelled opportunity. Her real name was something perfectly ordinary, but everyone called her Karen because she wore entitlement the way other people wore perfume. Mid-40s, flawless hair tucked under a branded beanie, always holding a clipboard or a phone like she was about to document a crime. She didn't live next door, but she acted like she owned the entire block. She was vice president of the HOA, and she made sure you never forgot it. I'd only met her twice before. Once when she reminded me my trash cans had to be hidden from street view within 2 hours of pickup. Another time when she claimed my porch light was too bright and disrupted the neighborhood aesthetic. The funny part was that porch light had been there since the day I bought the house. So when I saw her on my doorbell camera in the middle of the storm, my first thought was, here we go. Snow was already piling up thick and heavy, the wind pushing it sideways and turning streetlights into blurry halos. Karen stood on my walkway like an investigator, craning her neck toward the garage where the generator sat under a vented cover. Her lips were moving, almost like she was counting the seconds between the generator's low, steady rumble. I opened the door and kept my voice calm. Hey, everything okay? Karen didn't even look at my face. She pointed past me with a stiff finger. That! You're running that. Yes, I said. The storm's coming in hard. I'm prepared. Her eyes narrowed like I'd insulted her personally. Generators are not permitted for extended use under HOA guidelines. I blinked because she said it with such confidence it almost sounded real. I'm pretty sure emergency power isn't prohibited. She lifted her phone, already scrolling. I have the handbook. And also, she paused, clearly enjoying the moment. It's a disturbance. The noise, the fumes, the safety risk. You could be endangering the neighborhood. I stared at her, half amused, half irritated. It's outdoors, vented, and within decibel limits. And you do realize we're about to lose power, right? Her mouth tightened. Don't be sarcastic. You always think rules don't apply to you. That line hit me sideways. I've been the quiet guy on the street for years. I mowed my lawn. I shoveled my sidewalk. I waved. I didn't throw parties or cause trouble. But Karen spoke like she'd been building a case file on me for years. I kept my tone friendly. If you're concerned, you can stand right here and I'll show you the setup. It's safe. She took a step back like my offer was contagious. No, I'm not going anywhere near that. Then she did something that genuinely shocked me. She turned her phone toward my driveway and started recording. Not the generator, me, my face, my house number, the walkway, like she was gathering evidence for court. Ma'am, I said, my patience thinning. Why are you filming me? For documentation, she snapped. When there's an incident, people always say, "Oh, I didn't know." But I know. I warned you. A cold prickle ran under my sweater that had nothing to do with the snow. What incident? Karen smiled. Not friendly. Satisfied. You'll see. Then she walked away. Not toward her house, but toward the corner where her SUV sat half on the curb like she owned the snowplow route. I watched her go, telling myself to ignore it. Storms make people weird. HOA types love power trips. She'd probably send an email and call it a day. Except 10 minutes later, my front yard exploded with flashing red and blue lights. At first, I thought someone had slid off the road, but the cruiser stopped directly in front of my house. 2 police cars in a blizzard at my address. My chest tightened so fast I could taste metal. I stepped onto the porch, snow instantly soaking my slippers, and held my hands out in that universal "what's going on" gesture. One officer got out, hunched against the wind, shielding his eyes from the snow. He looked exhausted, the kind of tired that comes from being called out while everyone else is warm at home. "Good evening," he called. "You the homeowner?" "Yes," I said, keeping my voice steady. "What's going on?" He nodded toward my garage. "We got a report about an illegal generator party. Possible carbon monoxide risk, large gathering noise complaints," and he checked his notepad, then looked back up like he couldn't believe what he was reading. "Someone claimed you were running it to power unauthorized activities during the storm." I stared at him. A party generator? Behind him, the second officer stepped out and immediately slipped on the icy curb. He caught himself, muttered something under his breath, then looked at me with an expression that clearly said, "Please tell me this is nonsense." Before I could answer, Karen appeared again like she'd been waiting nearby for her moment. She walked up behind the officers, hood pulled tight, phone already recording, her face smug. "That's him," she said loudly, like I was a suspect in a true crime show. I told Dispatch he'd deny everything. He always denies. The tired officer glanced at her, then at me, then back again. "Ma'am, did you say there's a party?" Karen lifted her chin. I said, "He calls a party generator. He's been bragging about it. And look." She jabbed a finger toward my garage like she was pointing at a bomb. "That machine is running in this neighborhood during an emergency. He could kill someone." My heart was pounding hard enough to feel in my throat. My cheeks burned, even in the freezing wind. "Officer," I said quickly, "I called it that as a joke. It's an emergency backup. There's no one inside but me." Karen's eyes flashed. "Liar." The second officer leaned toward the first and muttered something I couldn't hear, but the way the first officer's shoulders sagged told me everything. He already knew what this was. An HOA complaint dressed up like a crisis. "All right," the first officer said. "We just need to make sure everything's safe. Mind showing us the setup?" "Of course," I said immediately. "Please. I want you to see it's done properly." Karen instantly stepped between us like a human barricade. "They're not going into your garage without a warrant." Both officers froze. The tired one looked at her like she just tried to grab the steering wheel of a moving car. "Ma'am, we're conducting a safety and welfare check." He's consenting. Karen's lips parted, clearly offended that reality wasn't following her script. I opened the garage door wider and motioned them in. The generator sat outside the main garage space, tucked behind a vented barrier. Exhaust pointed away from the house. Carbon monoxide detectors were clearly visible. Extension cords were neatly routed and secured. I'd even printed the manufacturer's safety instructions and taped them to the wall like an overachiever. The second officer's eyebrows lifted. "Okay, this is actually pretty clean." The first officer nodded slowly, scanning the setup. "CO detectors inside, too?" "Yes, 2. And the generator stays outside at all times." Karen shoved her phone closer, trying to capture something. Anything that looked wrong. "It's still not allowed. It violates HOA rules." The tired officer turned to her, his voice calm but firm. "Ma'am, this setup is safer than half the ones we see after storms." Karen froze. like she hadn't prepared for the possibility that the police wouldn't automatically side with her. Then the power flickered. At first it was subtle, a brief dip in my porch light, a tiny stutter. But all three of us noticed. The officers looked up instinctively. Down the street, the lights blinked again, and then one by one went dark. The entire neighborhood disappeared into stormy blackness, except my house. My light stayed steady, warm, bright, like a lighthouse planted in the middle of the blizzard. Karen's face changed in real time. The smugness drained out, replaced by something I couldn't name at first. Fear. Standing there with her phone still recording, she whispered the last thing I ever expected to hear from her. "Oh, no. No, no, no." And suddenly it clicked. She hadn't called the cops because she thought my generator was dangerous. She'd called them because she thought it would make her look powerful. Right before the whole neighborhood went dark, the silence after the power died was unreal. Not peaceful. Heavy. The kind that presses against your ears and makes every sound feel louder. The wind still howled. Snow scraped against siding. But the neighborhood itself went dead. No porch lights. No televisions. No glowing windows. Just mine. Karen noticed it before anyone else. Her eyes snapped from my lit living room to the dark houses across the street, then back to the officers, like she was suddenly afraid of what she'd unleashed. The second officer exhaled slowly. "Well, there it is." Karen snapped out of it fast. She straightened, lifted her chin, and pointed at my garage again like she could rewind reality by force. "This is exactly the problem. He's the only one with power. That's not fair. That creates," she searched for the word, "an imbalance." I almost laughed. Almost. The tired officer rubbed his face with his gloved hand. "Ma'am, fairness isn't a code violation." Karen stepped closer to him, lowering her voice into that fake concerned tone. "You don't understand. When people see this, they'll come here. It'll turn into a gathering. That's dangerous during a storm. He's encouraging it. I thought about the note taped to my door. If you're cold or need to charge your phone, knock." I didn't regret it. But I finally understood why Karen hated it. The officer looked at me. "Have people been coming by?" "Not yet," I said honestly. "But if someone needs help, I won't turn them away." Karen spun toward me. "See? He admits it. He's planning it." Planning. Like I'd scheduled the blizzard. The second officer tilted his head, studying her now instead of me. "Ma'am, are you without power?" Karen hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. Enough to be noticed. "That's not the point," she said quickly. The wind gusted harder, blowing snow into the open garage. Somewhere down the street, a car alarm chirped weakly, then died. The officer's radio crackled with new calls. Transformer down. Stranded driver. Welfare check. Real emergencies. The tired officer sighed. "All right. Setup is safe. No violation. No party." He turned to me. "You're good." Relief hit me so hard my knees almost buckled. Karen's face twisted. "So you're just leaving?" The officer met her eyes. "Yes, ma'am. You can't just ignore a risk." "We're not," he replied calmly. "We assessed it." She looked between the two officers, then back at my warm, glowing house. And something inside her snapped. "You're enabling him," she said louder. "This is how neighborhoods fall apart. One person thinking they're special. Thinking rules don't apply." I opened my mouth to respond, but the second officer raised a hand gently. "Ma'am, I think you should head home. Stay warm." Karen let out a short, humorless laugh. "Home." She gestured toward the dark street. "There is no warm. My power's been out for 20 minutes. My furnace is dead. My phone is at 12%. And he's standing there like some kind of hero." There it was, the crack in the mask. The tired officer blinked. "You don't have a backup?" Karen bristled. "Why would I? The HOA discourages generators. I follow the rules." The irony hung in the freezing air. Snow dusted Karen's shoulders as she stood there, suddenly looking less like an authority figure and more like someone stranded. Her hands trembled, not dramatically, just enough to notice I didn't plan what I said next. It just came out. You can come inside for a minute, warm up, charge your phone, have some coffee. Karen stared at me like I'd offered her poison. The second officer raised his eyebrows, clearly impressed. The tired one gave me a look that said, "You sure?" Karen scoffed. "Absolutely not. I will not accept help from someone violating community standards." "Okay," I said, keeping my tone neutral. The officers started backing toward their cruisers, eager to get back on the road. "Stay safe," one said to me, then to Karen. "Please get somewhere warm." As the cruisers pulled away, the red and blue lights vanished into the storm, leaving just the three of us behind. Me, Karen, and the blizzard. For a moment, Karen just stood there. No clipboard, no speech. Just a woman standing in the cold, staring at the only house on the block with light. Then the first knock came, soft, unsure. I opened the door to see my elderly neighbor from 2 houses down, bundled in layers, her eyes watering from the wind. "I saw your lights," she said quietly. "My phone died. I just need to call my daughter." "Of course," I said, stepping aside. Karen watched from the driveway as warm air spilled out onto the snow. She took an involuntary step forward, then stopped herself. More footsteps followed. A young couple. A guy holding a flashlight with a dead battery. People drawn not by a party, but by survival. Karen's breathing sped up. "This is chaos," she muttered. "This is exactly what I warned about." But there was no shouting, no music, no drinking, just people warming their hands, charging phones, and thanking me in hushed voices. Karen marched up to me suddenly, lowering her voice. "You're doing this on purpose, making yourself look good." I met her eyes. "No, I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me years ago." She opened her mouth to fire back, and then her phone died. The screen went black in her hand. She pressed a button. Nothing. For the first time since I'd known her, Karen looked small. Standing there in the snow with nowhere warm to go, she whispered almost to herself, "I didn't think it would get this bad." That's when I realized this wasn't about rules anymore. It was about something she'd been hiding the whole time. She said it again, quieter this time. "I didn't think it would get this bad." The wind swallowed the end of the sentence, but not the meaning. Karen stood frozen, shoulders stiff, phone dead in her hand, eyes locked on my lit doorway like it was forbidden ground. For the first time since I'd known her, she wasn't performing. No audience, no authority, just fear. I didn't speak right away. Neither did she. Behind me, the line of neighbors shuffled forward politely. Boots squeaked on the floor. Breath fogged the air. Someone thanked me again. Someone else asked if I needed help managing cords. It felt normal. Human. Karen couldn't stand it. "You know," she said suddenly, louder now, like she remembered who she was supposed to be, "this is still a liability. If someone slips, if someone gets hurt, you can come inside," I said, cutting her off. "Just for coffee. You look frozen." She flinched at the word inside. "No, I can't." That's when it clicked. I lowered my voice. "Why?" She laughed once, sharp and bitter. "Because if I do, I can't pretend you're the problem anymore." Snow drifted between us. Behind me, the last neighbor stepped inside, and the door closed softly. The storm felt louder without them. Karen rubbed her hands together, then stopped when she noticed how badly they were shaking. "My husband left last year," she blurted out. I didn't respond. I was afraid anything I said would shut her down. "He handled everything," she continued, staring at the dark houses. "Storms, repairs, planning. He had a generator. Big one. Installed. When he moved out, he took it, said it was his." She swallowed. "The HOA discourages generators, so I never replaced it. I told myself following the rules meant I was responsible, prepared." Her laugh cracked this time. "Turns out it just meant I was cold." I finally understood. This wasn't about noise, or fumes, or fairness. It was about control. Karen had built her identity on enforcing rules because rules felt safe, predictable. If everyone followed them, Nothing unexpected could happen. No storms. No abandonment. No moments where she had to admit she needed help. And my generator, my stupid, humming-proof preparation, shattered that illusion. You called the cops because you were scared, I said. She didn't deny it. I thought if they shut you down, she said quietly, then we'd all be the same, all dark, all stuck. I wouldn't be the only one who messed up. The admission hung between us, raw and uncomfortable. Another gust of wind slammed into us. Karen shivered violently now, her breath coming in short, shallow bursts. She tried to hide it, failed. I opened the door. Warm air rushed out, carrying the smell of coffee and something sweet someone had brought. Soft laughter drifted from inside, grateful, alive. This isn't an HOA meeting, I said. No rules, no points, just heat. Karen stared at the doorway, like it might judge her. Then she stepped forward. Inside, the room went quiet for half a second as people noticed her. The woman who once lectured them about lawn height and paint colors stood dripping snow onto my mat, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy. No one said a word. I handed her a mug. She took it with both hands, fingers wrapping around it like it was the last solid thing in the world. She took one sip and broke. Not loudly, no drama, just silent tears as the warmth reached her. Someone offered her a chair. Someone else draped a blanket over her shoulders. No questions, no lectures. Karen sat there trembling, staring into her coffee like it was sacred. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not to me, but to the room. I didn't know how to ask. No one replied. They didn't need to. The storm raged all night. The power didn't return until morning. People came and went, charging phones, checking on neighbors, sharing updates. Karen stayed in the corner, quiet, helping when she could, passing out cups, holding doors. She didn't film once. By dawn, the snow eased. The neighborhood slowly came back to life. As people thanked me and headed home, Karen lingered near the door. "I'll resign from the board," she said suddenly. I blinked. "You don't have to." "I do," she said, steady now. "Not because of this, but because I use it to feel important instead of useful." She hesitated. "And I ordered a generator. Same model as yours." I smiled. "Good choice." She almost smiled back. As she stepped into the pale morning light, she paused. "Thank you," she said softly, "for not shutting the door." After she left, I shut down the generator. The sudden quiet felt strange, but good. Later that week, a handwritten note appeared in my mailbox. No HOA letterhead. No warnings. Just 2 underlined words. Be prepared. Funny thing is, I never heard the phrase blizzard party generator again. But every winter since, when the lights go out, more than one house on my block stays warm. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Every subscription motivates me to bring you even more dramatic and satisfying HOA stories. Don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a new upload.